morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Wrap Up, September 21st, 2024. I'm David Thomas. This is Josh Blevins. Mr. Josh, it's good to see you again this morning. How are things going?
As well. Another beautiful day here in Shelbyville. It should be, I think, the last full day of summer I hear, maybe, and it's kind of feeling summer-like out there.
94, high of 94 today, so it's going to have to be a hot one.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about, but not like normal. It doesn't look like you have a ton, but
no,
we still have
things
a lot.
have slowed down a little bit, both city and the county, but we'll talk about that here in a bit.
All right. Well, let's hear from our sponsor, Dennis Young Insurance, and we'll be right back to dive into what happened.
Yeah.
With the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Thank you to Dennis Young Insurance for being our key sponsor here on the Weekend Wrap Up. Josh, what all happened this week?
What all happened this week? Monday evening, I went to the rec center, and they presented the master plan for the Shelbyville Greenway, Bikeway, and Trails.
Okay.
So they got a grant where they were able to get I think it was Reagan Smith was the company that did it, and they went around the whole city, looked at what we've got, and looked at ways to try to develop some kind of different trail system or bikeways or some other ways to get around town other than driving down to the square and back.
Right.
So the big one that they're focused on, which there's been a lot of talk about at City Council, is the Rails to Trails. That's where you take, as you know, we've got the old railroad track that runs in town, runs over to Tyson, and there ain't no trains on it.
Right.
So
no
it's
trains.
just no trains, just kind of sitting there.
Yep.
And it's perfect. It's the right width for a greenway. So they would like to turn that into a greenway where you can, walk up and down it, bike up and down it, do whatever with that. They're also looking at maybe expanding the trails at H.V. Griffin Park. Also looking at maybe if they could get some bike lanes in, maybe on 231 or 41A, somewhere in there. Now, I was there at the meeting, so I asked a couple questions because it was more of an open community meeting. And some of the things that are problematic, particularly on 231 and 41A, is if you've ever driven down Union Street or North Main through town, not a lot of room for a bike lane in there. As I pointed out, if you go in front of Kroger and you even want to go down the sidewalk, you couldn't even ride down the sidewalk in front of Kroger. There's light poles right
in the middle of
it.
I've always wondered. It's been like that for years, and I've always said, why don't we put light poles in our sidewalks?
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing that could be is there's not enough right of way there. So I mean, obviously they didn't want to have a light pole in the middle of the sidewalk, so they didn't have room to get the sidewalk and a light pole there, so they went right dead center. So the guy from Reagan Smith mentioned he'd just done a big project, I think it was in Columbia, and they put all the utilities underground. But then he said, oh, by the way, that did cost us $10 million.
Yeah, exactly.
So, not cheap. So now I do know that our county planning director, Chris White, together with, I think, maybe the partnership and maybe a couple of the county people, they've been working on a big EPA community change grant. And as part of that, I'd heard that there may be a multimodal corridor work on like 231. So from up around the airportish area down into town where they would be trying to clean some of that up and make maybe some more room for walking and biking and stuff. And they're looking for I think they're looking for $20 million out of that grant. So, and I think there's other things involved in that grant than the multimodal, but I know they've been working on that for a year. So that's one possibility of where some of the money could come from. But it would have to be grants because we don't have, $10, $20 million to be burying, utilities underground on Main Street. So it would be nice to get some of those poles away. And Union Street's the same way. When I drive down Union Street, I always feel like when I'm in the right lane, I'm like, am I going to hit that pole?
Like this,
those poles are right up against the street. So, but that was Monday. That was a good meeting. Not super well attended, but a lot of good information there. And I really appreciate our new our parks director, Trevor, I think his name is. He seems really aggressive and is doing a good job. He's the one looking for the soccer money. He's now working on this trail, so he's out there, really trying to improve things here in the city as far as recreation activity. Okay. So that's great. Same night, actually. This started Monday night, and really this started during our show last Saturday. we talked a little bit about the upcoming skate rink on
Right.
Saturday.
Yeah.
And we mentioned we had a few reservations about the direction things were headed. And then I think you even called me Monday and same thing and said it was feeling, you just got that gut feeling that something wasn't quite right.
Right.
So they had announced that they were bringing a skating rink to Shelbyville. They didn't want to tell us where it was at. Eventually they did say Madison Street, somewhere in the Madison Street corridor, but they immediately started asking for money. And there was nothing, sadly enough, you can't trust everything you read on the internet anymore. It's hard to believe, but there's a lot of scams out there.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. Every
constantly, there's so many scams on the internet. And, I put out a little post Monday night, really brief, just said, hey, caution, maybe before you send $150 to somebody that's wanting to bring something to town, maybe do a little more research and maybe wait till things are a little more solid.
Yeah.
And boy, did I get blasted.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you hate small business, and this is why we can't have nice things,
Right.
and this is why nobody wants to bring anything to Shelbyville. But we were just pointing out the obvious, which is, they're asking for as much as $5,000, and you didn't even have a person's full name, let alone an address or.
You couldn't go look at it.
You couldn't go look at it.
Right.
You couldn't. I'm not sending $5,000 to somebody on a hope and a dream. So.
I'm sure there were a lot of people that were interested in being in on the front end on something.
Oh,
like
sure.
this.
Yeah.
Because there were people that but actually did it,
Yeah.
and there are other people wanting to.
Right.
Shelbyville now would be interested in doing something.
Oh, we love to
They
sponsor a
have-
skating
right,
rink
right.
if we definitely had a skating rink coming. So after all the comments, Monday night, I went out Tuesday morning and started digging because that's the only way you're going to get information. So I started at City Codes and Planning, and they have, if there's a skating rink, and part of the sales pitch was we're sealing the floors this weekend, so we got to get these names, got to get a list of names. You got to get your $5,000 in, or $150, or the other was the other option. And oddly enough, there was no permit request. There was no nothing at planning or codes. So that was a big red flag. So yeah, you can't just go out and build a skating rink and not have building permits. That won't end well.
Right?
So,
No.
yeah. So they had some ideas though of buildings on Madison that had the right square footage that possibly you could get a skating rink in them. So I just drove over I started over at the Circle K at the end of Madison and just drove back and took pictures of the real estate signs, went back to my office and just started calling and texting realtors. So eventually got a hold of a guy that had somebody come in from out of town, look at a couple buildings, and they had started down the steps to possibly open a skating rink.
Right.
But they were nowhere near anywhere in the process that they should have been collecting money. They didn't have a lease on a building.
Right.
They hadn't even settled on a building yet. And they definitely weren't sealing floors, this weekend. So as was said. So he gave me contact information. I got a hold of the people on the phone, told them, who I was with, what we were concerned about. They put out a follow-up post and said that they were going to put their, plans on hold, but in reality, the plans hadn't gone far enough to, really be collecting the money. So, really, moral of the story is don't send money to people on the internet. You don't know who they are. And the person I spoke with did seem like they want to open a skating rink here, but they need to get a lot more ducks in a row before they move forward. And just from my talk with planning and codes about a couple of these buildings that they were looking at, there's a lot of work that goes into opening a skating rink. You can't just
you can't just go open
you
the door.
think it's
and
just
say,
a big room and people roller skate around.
No.
There's codes. They said, from a building code standpoint, you're supposed to have sprinklers if it's a certain square footage. There's massive liability issues as far as liability insurance. You don't want them just skating around on concrete. There's a certain floor that you put in for a skating rink. There's a lot involved.
You're probably going to need $150,000 to $200,000 to get to ball rolling.
Right. Yeah.
In cash.
Yeah.
Even
And that's if you've got
leasing,
a building that's already standing.
If you've got a lease. And,
right.
all the equipment is going to have to be rented.
Yep.
The skates.
Sure.
That's part of the process.
That's part of the expense.
And arcade machines probably is a part of it.
Yeah,
around the
there's a lot
outside.
involved.
Concessions. You're talking about a lot of money to start a skating rink.
Right.
And there have been skating rinks in the past.
There have, yeah.
And in the area. And they have struggled since well, since the electronic age is and everybody's
Since
got their
everybody sits
phone
at
out,
home
I
and
mean,
plays video games, yeah.
I don't know how big of a draw it would be, but if they do decide to do this, I wish them a bunch of luck. You know, it's
Yeah, and it might, honestly, the nostalgia factor,
Yeah.
I think, kind of brings people
Right.
back to some of that. I've got a friend that I went to high school with, and they, this is a long time ago, 20 or 30 years ago, they decided to open a drive-in movie theater.
oh yeah,
He called Dave Ramsey on the radio and asked him if it's a good idea. Dave laughed
he
at him and
laughed
said,
at him.
nobody,
No.
nobody goes to a
Right.
drive-in movie theater. And they have been so successful
Yeah.
because of just the nostalgia factor of
Yeah.
wanting to go out and watch a movie in your car.
Yeah.
And they're over in Watertown is where they're at.
Okay.
And they do a booming business in the drive-in. So
Yeah.
there's enough of that, I think, that maybe it could bring people in.
yeah. The Montana drive-in between Tullahoma
Uh-huh.
and Winchester.
I think it does.
They
good
follow it. They
business.
always follow. It's
Yeah.
it's a throwback, and,
Right,
And people, it's an adventure.
Sure.
for
Yeah.
folks.
And I think a skating rink could be that as well, but they need to get their act together. And even the guy, when I was speaking of codes, he's like, if you had the money and sat down right now and wanted to open one in town, you're not going to be open next month. This is a lot of months process. It's got to go through planning. You got to get things approved in planning first. That requires a certain amount of time. You got to get your permits in place. You got to do the construction. So this would be, if they started today, they had just a pile of money. It would be, springtime.
A lot of
before
moving
somebody
parts
opened.
to it.
But we do have the go-kart places opening next month, so that one is opening. So, and there's been a lot of excitement around that one. So, if you're looking for something to do, that is coming soon. Tuesday in the evening, we had the county committee meetings. Much like the county commission meeting the week before, not a whole lot going on in county government right now. Things have really gotten quiet. The only thing that was really on the agenda as far as some discussion was the bylaws that they've been working on for months now. Commissioner Yaki was out, I think, under the weather, so she was kind of heading that up, spearheading that. So really all they did was a little bit talk about it and said, let's push it off another month. So that went nowhere. Sheriff's report, we got that as we get every month. And much as they often do, they drove a lot of miles, 87,792 miles, served 821 warrants, and arrested 186 people. So yes, there's a few bad guys still in the county, so they found some to arrest. We got 325 people sitting in the jail as of the date of the report. And in addition to that, 385 people came and went through the jail in the month. So that's
Busy
a lot.
place.
It's a busy
All right,
place.
so
at
you
the
said
jail.
what's 300 and how many total?
325.
And
sitting
how many
there.
of those are from state?
Okay, so we discussed at the meeting, the jail just received a new accreditation. They're Tier 1, which they're one of only 20, I believe they said, in the state. County jails Tier 1. That gets us a whopping $44 per day for each state inmate. So we had about 100 of those were state inmates out of that. So that's about $16,000 a year on my calculator. So I don't know what it costs to house an inmate, but it seems like maybe they should be paying a little more than that. So
Yeah, $44 a day is not covered.
doesn't feel like a lot of money, and that was a $3 increase. And if they do all this work and get up to a Tier 2,
Three
they
more
get
dollars.
$3 more,
Wow.
so $47 a day.
So how many do we have currently?
Well, we have 100 state inmates as of the report.
So out of the 300 and whatever,
325
100 of them are from out
are
of
from out of county, yeah, or state,
Okay.
yeah, being paid as state inmates. So they did do a little video on the MRT program in the garden. That was really nice. Actually, I think it was after the show last week. I went to the graduation for the MRT program, which is, that's just great. That's a tearjerker every time they do it out here, and it was really good. The one I went to, you got, you're getting people that have been, basically thrown aside by society, addicts, and they get in there and they get deep and they dig into what the cause is, and they generally get their lives turned around. They have just a massive success rate with that. I want to say it's like 85-90% or something. Don't come back to jail. So that's great. Other than that, at the committee meetings, just one other thing that I asked a question on because we're getting close. Your favorite, the courthouse lights.
Okay.
We've got a big event coming up December 3rd, I believe, where they're supposed to light the tree.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
already being
courthouse.
publicized, man. It's September.
Yeah, from what I heard, and this is not official and this is not final, but the people that are supposed to install the lights are not moving very fast, and there's a little concern that the the courthouse lights may not be ready in time for the Christmas bonanza there on December 3rd. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I know you're anxious to see it lit up for Christmas personally. So I'll.
Well, Christmas is fine.
Yeah, Christmas is
some
nice,
other
so.
days that could. Well, never mind.
Yeah, we won't even go there. So, but we'll keep an eye on that. There is a little bit of a delay for whatever reason, and they're hoping to have it ready because there is the big event planned.
And that's the $275,000 lights, right?
Yes, but a lot of that was wiring, I'm told. So yes,
Okay.
the lights weren't that much. It was the wires that were.
The wires are expensive. Copper wires are expensive.
Wires are expensive. Thursday, I went to the school board meeting, and a lot going on in the world of schools. We talked about this a little last week too. There's been a lot of online threats, not just here but nationwide,
Right.
since that semi-recent school shooting that went on. The sheriff's department put out a press release Monday or Tuesday, about a threat towards the homecoming at Central on Friday.
Yeah.
And they sent out a lot of extra officers. The county did. The city had officers there. Of course, nothing happened. That was yesterday. Just talking to some people from the county behind the scenes, they had gotten that threat, tracked down who it was, and made sure there was no threat. They had gotten it squashed. And what happened was a mom that had seen the threat, she decided to post it on Facebook to one of the moms groups. If you get a threat like that, don't throw it out on social media, because then it turned into a thing. It wasn't a thing before it got on the big group on Facebook, but once it got on the group, then it turned into a thing, and then we ended up having to spend, hours.
Backtrack time.
Well, a lot of work, and then Friday we ended up with all these officers that didn't really need to be there at this homecoming event because they were having to cover because somebody decided to
Make a bunch of moms mad.
make a
and
bunch
get
of
them
people
stirred
mad,
up.
get it stirred up, and then it's a thing again. So if you see a threat like that on your kid's phone, on Facebook, wherever, report it to the police. Don't share it to 150,000 other people. So, yeah, that's the key to that. And at the school board meeting, as they were discussing this, they're going to send a proposal to the TSBA, Tennessee School Boards Association, where they would like to see, and I think this is a good idea, real punishment for these threats. Their proposal is if the kid's 17 and under, they're proposing 1 year mandatory juvenile detention. And if the kid's over 17, 1 year minimum prison. Because if there's no real threat of actual jail time, these kids are just going to keep doing this. So they got to do something. And honestly, they probably should start looking at some parents.
Suspension from school's not going to do it.
Nah, we're sending you to alternative school or all that. It's not getting the job done. So there needs to be some more serious, repercussions for something like this. The other thing that actually they addressed it before the school violence, this got a lot more discussion, and we had talked about this last week, is this new Construction Manager at Risk, RFQ, that they put out. That's a request for qualifications. Brian Cruz, who's one of our school board members, he spoke for quite a while on this. If you're interested in this, I recommend go back and watch the school board meeting. There was a lot of concern from the school board that doing it this way, they were giving up really control over their own projects, because if this person is brought on as the contractor that's qualified,
Right.
then he meets with our owner rep and our finance department, and they look at each of these little projects and they set what's called a guaranteed maximum price, and then he goes out and does the project. And say, for instance, the project's $500,000 is their guaranteed maximum price, and he gets it done for $300,000. He keeps half the savings. The county keeps the other half of the savings. So he's getting a little, there's some incentive there for the price to be
Inflated.
Possibly inflated. And then, there's no bid process. So that's it. He's the guy.
It's not good.
Yeah. So I think the school board was kind of feeling like maybe we should go back to a bid process where we do, a bid on every project. These are small ones. The other concern that Brian laid out really good was the way this was written is this guy is the construction manager for both the school system and the county government. So he's like, we don't, as the school board, want to, get in and sign off on this guy, and then this guy go out and do some county projects. They get controversial, as we've had with projects in the last 6 months, and suddenly the school board's drug into the whole politics of the county. So why does this guy need to be?
Should be a separation.
There should be some kind of separation between school board construction manager and county construction manager. And what I didn't realize till they had the discussion over at the meeting, the school board didn't even get to pick this guy. No, it's the finance director that gets to make the decision. 3 contractors submitted their qualifications. It was a sealed process. The package gets open, and then there's a scoring system they do. And then at the end of the day, the finance director picks which one of these guys is the winner.
So the taxpayer is voided in that process because there's no school board.
Yeah, there's no school board vote
There's
on that
no
guy.
commission
Yeah,
oversight. It's just internal.
right. It's a lot more of it happens internally. There's no bid process on these. Now, these are small projects. The argument from finance was it's hard to get bids on small projects. The argument from the head of the school board was, we don't know that because we haven't put them out for bid yet.
Right.
So you can say it's hard to get bids. So a lot going on there with this particular. They deferred it for a month because they were really uncomfortable with it. You could tell at the meeting. A lot of people spoke against it, or at least sounded like they were against it. The other concern they had was, so this scoring process where you get they got the 3 sealed packages. For whatever reason, the day that it was supposed to be scored, everybody was sick or out of town. So you had one person in the office, opened them, gave their score, and then they gave their score to the whole school board and to all the other people that are supposed to score this. So you've already seen somebody else's score, so doesn't that give you a little bit of a bias of how you're not going into this with a clear head. You've already seen what somebody else is giving as a score. So it was, the whole process didn't seem to have gone very well. There will definitely be more discussion there, I think, next month at the school board meeting. Other thing that we'd mentioned last week, I just thought I'd bring it up, the robot to paint the lines of the football fields.
Right.
I guess the Booster Club had already, you said you'd seen one at Shelbyville Central.
Yeah, they use it out there.
The Booster Club had already paid for theirs, so the only one that was interested still was Cascade, and they did approve to get one for Cascade. And I think they said maybe even Cascade is going to end up paying for it. It's not going to be paid for out of the regular school budget. So 2 out of our 3 football fields, the robot's painting them now. So, and you said they look good, right?
Oh,
so,
outstanding.
Yeah, I'm sure the technology is amazing.
It is.
But if that robot
looks like
goes,
one of those little vacuum cleaners.
But what if he goes crazy and just starts painting everywhere?
It could be a mess.
Well, the Russians could hack in or something.
Gosh.
What could possibly
We could
go
change
wrong?
our unit of measure from meters to yards and have that extended field.
Extended out. There's no telling what could happen.
They could
with
draw
this robot.
stuff on the field.
Yeah,
we don't want on the field.
No, it's all good with the robot painters. So Friday was my last event that I went to this week, and that was the Center for Family Development. They got the $50,000 grant from T-Mobile for the park, the courtyard, whatever you want to call it, between their building, which is the old Norton Law building, and Pope's.
And I'd like to emphasize, this is not a government grant of any fashion.
No government involved in
this. A private
this.
company did this.
T-Mobile gave the grant. The property is privately owned, and let's get into the property ownership real quick. We got a number of comments on the initial announcement of this that were a little upset because James Farrer owns this particular piece of property. And they're like, oh, we're spending all this money fixing up James's property, and then he's going to sell it and make a bunch of money off it. So, but I kept hearing from people in the county, oh, James doesn't own it anymore. It's owned by the Capri guy. So I went to the event, and there was a gentleman standing there who was wearing a Shovel Pizza hat. And I said, nobody's going to wear a Shovel Pizza hat unless they're connected to Shovel Pizza somehow. So I went over and talked to this gentleman. His name's Patrick, and he owns Shovel Pizza. He owns the Capri. And he has a signed contract with James for this property, the park, and the old Norton Law building next door. It's a 3-year owner finance deal. So that's why Mr. Farrer's name is still on the deed.
It's in the process.
It's in the process. When it's all said and done, Patrick will own the property. It just, if you look it up, it still shows James' name. But either way, Patrick is really focused on this park. He's got young kids.
Right.
He wanted a place where he could take his kids and hang out. He's talking even like a playground maybe at some point. and just hang out with the kids, and then go over and have dinner at Shovel Pizza, go to the
Pope's,
movie theater,
yeah,
go to Pope's,
yeah.
go to
The square,
just open the
the-
Glass
yeah.
Hollow. You know, somewhere you could go at the square other than just going to a place of leaving.
You mentioned Glass Hollow.
Glass
Put
Hollow.
out the menu this week for their limited time soft openings.
They opened last night
Right.
at 4:00. I saw not a ton of reviews, about 5 reviews. I think
Yeah.
online. Everybody was thrilled. First, I hate this. First comment I think we got was, "Man, those prices seem higher." So
Well, that's what we're asking for here. I mean, this is some good stuff.
but they weren't high. I don't know if you've ever gone out to eat any time in the last 6 months. I went to Nashville and had a lunchtime burger, I think 3 weeks ago, my favorite burger place. I got a burger and a lemonade, and of course it asked for a
Right.
tip on the little screen, even though I was paying at the counter. $20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I hate it.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at.
If you sit down at a nice restaurant and get a decent steak,
Yeah.
it's going to cost you at least $50 a person.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Now, this ain't fast food, man. This is
No, you're not going to
this
McDonald's.
is your higher quality stuff,
Yeah,
and that's
this-
what everybody's been screaming for.
That's what
Now
everybody's
let's get out and
asking for.
support it.
Now you need to
It's
support it.
time.
And the prices on the menu were not even close to that. I think they had like a $14 burger, an $18 burger.
Yeah.
They had a $20-some sir. I mean, they had great prices.
Yeah.
So
the filet wasn't outlandish. It's like 40 bucks.
Yeah, $40 for a
So,
filet.
I mean,
there was
you're-
nothing out of line in the pricing. And I have not eaten the food yet, but I've been. The billing is beautiful. This would be a great date night. It's probably not where you're going to take your 4 young kids and sit down and after a movie or something, but maybe it is. I mean, maybe you do. They did have a kids menu and all that, so it's no, it looks great. Looks like it's going to be a great addition to the city, to the square. Because when I was talking to Patrick, he said the big thing about our square right now, before this, is you go up there on a weeknight, even on a weekend night, that place is dead.
Yeah, it's dead.
So that's why he's hoping to get the park, kind of nice. We go hang out there. If you've got a couple evening restaurants that are open, you've got his pizza place, you got the Capri, we go watch a movie.
Hey, there's a lot to be
going
said
on.
for that.
Yeah.
Not long ago, I went down to Winchester. My
Mhm.
wife and I went out to eat at a restaurant up there that was highly regarded,
Right.
and it was fantastic. But the entire square, this was on a Friday night, the entire square, most everything was open at like 7:30. They had their theater cranking.
Yeah.
They had this restaurant. They had another little, like a bar and grill type thing, sports bar and grill. And they had all this stuff going on. And it was the center of activity for the town. And that's what our square could quickly become. And what brought this to Franklin County, to Winchester, was that one particular key restaurant where everybody started getting and talking about it. This very same thing could happen.
This could happen to our
Here.
square.
We just got to support it. And we're going to start to see people coming in from Tullahoma, from Lewisburg, from Lynchburg to gravitate toward that.
Right.
So that's where if we want to call it tourism, I don't call it tourism.
Right.
I call it go visiting the town.
Yeah,
But
you're out of town
it
visitors.
fits in that
Yeah.
category the way we keep up with it.
Yeah.
That's out of town money coming in.
Yeah, and I mean it's a little ways down the road, but eventually we'll have Grindstone open on the other corner
That's
as
another.
well.
That's another.
And I would
idea.
expect they'll do some evening things as well, and that's just another draw that we'll have over there.
Right.
So good things going on in the city, good things going on in the county, and that was really it for this week. Kind of a slower week than normal, but we got a lot of stuff coming up next week. But before we go there, maybe we could hear from our sponsor one more time.
Yeah, we appreciate Dennis Young and his crew out there at Dennis Young Insurance. Let's hear from them.
With the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Welcome back to the weekend wrap up, to the news that matters here on Shelbyville Now. Before we jump into next week, I want to make a little announcement. Our live scanner is currently not live. Okay?
It's unlive.
It's unlive, and there's some classic rock music playing right now.
Yeah.
While I reconfigure what we're doing there to get better reception.
Yeah.
We're trying to relocate so that we can get better reception. I have that now. It's a matter of getting that uplinked to our platform. and I'm working on that. Hopefully this week we'll have that going.
Yep.
So those that are tore up about that, I did post it on Facebook that we're going to be temporarily shut down.
Yeah.
But it's coming back, and I'll make an announcement
When it's ready.
when it's ready.
Yeah. Upcoming week, a few things going on around town. If you drive anywhere near the square or North Main Street, Public Works is repaving North Main from Lane Parkway up to where it hits North Cannon. East Franklin Street, which runs across from that to North Britain, and then North Britain from East Lane up to Elms. So if you're in around that area, that's around the post office, that's around My Bank, Pinnacle, Papa John's, all that. Just be aware there's paving going on. You may or may not be able to get through as easy as normal. Probably best if you could just stay away from it for a couple of days.
Question on that, Josh. It is our Public Works doing this paving, correct? Or is
I
it
would
the
think
state?
I would think it's our Public Works.
Since that's
It's right in the middle of
231, I thought the
city.
state did most of that, but this is our Public Works.
I'm pretty sure it's our Public Works.
Yeah.
They had our Public Works signs up saying
Okay.
paving next week and stuff, and the city posted about it. So
Right.
I'm leaning towards it's
So no
us.
more potholes in that spot.
On those couple blocks of street. Yeah, they should be smooth as can be.
All right.
So Tuesday, 4:15 p.m., County Financial Management Committee. As of yesterday when I checked, there wasn't even an agenda posted yet. But the meeting happens every month, so I know it happens. I'll be there. We'll see what happens. Thursday, 6 o'clock, Shelbyville Planning Commissions. That's City Planning Commission at the regular council chambers across from the dinner table. That is a full agenda. There is a lot going on in the city of Shelbyville. There are at least 3, if not more, parcels where, again, we're wanting to upzone to higher density to put more units on a piece of property. They're already there. There's a big development on Brown Lane that I believe got deferred from last month. I don't think we talked
Right.
about last month.
It's over
this
by the
one is-
park.
yeah, close to the park.
Park
Yeah,
complex.
yeah. This is not the super big one, the
Right.
PUD that's over there, but this is the next step down. It's, I want to say 40, 50, 60 houses. I don't remember, but it's good size. That's on there. A lot of other things on there. It's going to be a long meeting. But then next through the weekend, next weekend, 2 big events at the Ag Center. We got the Bedford Arts Collective art show. I think they're like 20 artists are presenting stuff. Some of it may be for sale. They're having kind of a meet and greet with the artists and stuff Thursday night from 6 to 9. And then Friday and Saturday, you go over to the Ag Center between 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. and just view the artwork and support local artists. And then also over at the Celebration Grounds, Thursday to Sunday, it's the big American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. So if you like mules or you
Yeah.
like bluegrass or
It's
think a
turned
lot of
into
family fun events, it's
big
turned into a
event.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
turned into a pretty big event
I
for
think-
the celebration.
For $5, you can buy you a raffle ticket, possibly
All right.
win you a mule. So they give
Well,
away
that's
a mule.
what we
every
need is a
year.
mule.
So, yeah, and if you're like me, I told what they were trying to sell me some of these tickets. I said, I don't think my HOA is going to let a mule in.
Probably not.
No, but they said the good thing is if you win the mule and you live like I do, where you don't have room for a mule, they will auction the mule off for you, and you get to keep half the proceeds, and half the proceeds go to charity. So last year's mule sold for $3,000. They said mules are expensive.
Mules
So
are expensive, and
Yeah.
you know the HOA could be a problem.
I'm taking the
The
HOA.
reason I
Not
don't
gonna
live in a
appreciate-
HOA.
Yeah, well, I'm in one, so I'm not allowed mules. So
So I could win it and have somewhere to put it and not have somebody fussing about it.
yeah, do you have enough space for a mule though? Do you really want a mule in your yard?
No,
No,
it would
probably
have
not.
to be out back, and I don't have a barn.
Yeah, and
I'm
I
out.
think they like to be fed and a lot. There's a lot involved with mules.
it's like
so-
having a child.
Yeah, so you're better off just auctioning it off if you win. So, but definitely go down to that event. That's a big event. And then I think you wanted to speak a little bit about, in case nobody's noticed, we're about 3.5 weeks from early voting, and
Yes.
I think we'd like to invite maybe some people. to
All
talk to
the
you.
all the local candidates, we'd love to do the candidate interviews that we've done. Meet the candidates. Josh, you've sat down and done that. I've
Yeah.
extended invitations to some individuals. Hopefully, they'll get in here real soon before this early voting gets cranked up.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity. I ask the same 5 questions to everybody.
Yeah.
It basically is an opportunity to share what your thoughts are about our city,
Right.
county, if your county, but it's just all city. This
Yeah.
go around.
This is the city, yeah.
So we have those 3 wards that are up for grabs. And Josh, you're in Ward 5.
I'm in 5. Yeah, 5,
and
3,
3
and
and
1.
1. are the ones up. So hopefully we'll get some candidates in here over the next couple of weeks and get and hear from them. But the invitation is out there. If you would like to schedule yours and get on camera and get this done, just contact us on our Facebook page and hit the messenger and just send a message and say, hey, I'm ready to do it. But I'll try to be reaching out to everybody as well.
Yeah, and I saw a comment on Facebook from somebody that was they were looking forward to the city election. They said, hey, I went on on all these websites. I can't find anything from any of our candidates right now. So it's important to that everybody get their platform or where they stand out there so people can make an intelligent decision.
Right. There's nothing worse than an uneducated voter.
Yeah. You don't want to be throwing a dart against a dartboard or say, oh, I like that name or, or just not know and just,
Let's go blindly pick.
Yeah, blindly pick. Or some people just skip it. Some people
I
actually
don't know.
skip some races because they don't know. So yeah.
And if you're wondering where Ward 5 is, you can go to our website under the politics section, and we have the ward maps.
Yeah.
And also the city of Shelbyville has on their
They
website
have it
the
on their
ward
website
map.
as
So
well,
you can
yeah.
see if you don't know where your ward is located. I mean, if you look up your street, look on the city map, it'll tell you what ward you're in. So
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. But other than that, we will be back here next week, same time, same channel, same place with the news that matters here in Shelbyville.